Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, welcome to all the devotees to our Sunday Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, in the previous sessions, we kind of discussed about the Bhumandala, its various divisions, and then with respect to upper planetary systems, we discussed about Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Dhruvaloka. Above Dhruvaloka, we also discussed about Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Sataloka. It's like that. The upper planetary systems, there was a brief discussion about all those things, and after crossing through Satyaloka, before reaching the layers of the universe, we also have a Vaikuntha. We briefly presented about that also last class. Then followed by there are 7 layers of the universe made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. Surrounding ether, Ahankara and Mahatattva. Surrounding that, we have the layer of Pradhana. Since Pradhana consists of 3 modes, there are 3 layers, Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. So like that. So this is the overall dimension of our universe. And we also kind of saw that after our universe, there are so many other universes which are all floating in the Karna ocean, where Karnadaksha Vishnu is also there. Crossing that, we have Brahmajyoti, where Sadashiva is residing. Crossing that, we have Vaikuntha planets, unlimited Vaikuntha planets, where unlimited forms of Lord Vishnu are residing, along with unlimited variety of devotees. And crossing that, we get to Ayodhya, Dwaraka, Madura, and Vrindavan. So this is the famous ISKCON painting. So devotees must have seen previously also. So like that, we have briefly discussed about all these different places and different things. And today, we will discuss the remaining places such as Bhuvarloka, Bilaswarga, about the Anantashesha who is holding the Bhumandala, and the Garbhodaka ocean, etc., lower part of the universe. So this is the picture drawn to the scale as per the dimensions given in Srimad Bhagavatam and Vishnu Purana, etc. This is our entire universe. The lower half is filled with Garbhodaka ocean, within which we have Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then this upper surface is the Bhumandala. This small hump is like Lokaloka mountain, which separates Lokavarsha and Alokavarsha. This intermediate portion is Lokavarsha, and this is Alokavarsha with respect to the Bhumandala. And the first circle we see here, that is Dhruvaloka. Second circle is Maharloka, then Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. These are the 4 upper planetary systems. And in this intermediate area between the Bhumandala and Dhruvaloka, if we magnify, we get here like this. This is Lokaloka mountain. This is the Bhumandala. We have Rahu, Ketu here, and Sun, Moon, constellations, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Saptarishi Mandal, and Dhruvaloka. These are different places according to Bhagavatam. So then today we will discuss about the remaining parts from chapter 24, 25, 26, from these 3 chapters. So we will try to discuss about Bhuvarloka and Bilaswarga and Shesha and hellish planetary systems. So before that, any questions from previous discussion from any devotees?
Prabhu, one quick question about the Karana ocean, like about the Garbhodaka ocean, we understand it is from the perspiration of the Lord and it fills up half the under, right? But with respect to the Karana ocean, the reference of the word ocean, because the understanding is that universes seem to be floating in that space. Is that what is the understanding of ocean? Is there some udaka of some kind there? that area?
No, Karana Odaka Shai Vishnu we say. Karana Odaka Shai Vishnu means that Vishnu, who is also known as Mahavishnu, will be taking rest upon the waters of Karana Sagara. It is also called as Viraja Nadi. Some places in the scripture is used as Viraja Nadi. This entire blue thing, that is the Karana Ocean. Karana Ocean or Kadal Ocean or Viraja Nadi.
Yeah, Prabhu. So that I understand. But when we say Karana Ocean, and that is some kind of a Udaka, what is the nature or the substance of that ocean?
Scripture say that Vedanga Sweda Janita. Pradana Paramavyomni Antare Viraja Nadi Vedanga Sweda Janita. The Viraja Nadi is situated between the Paramvyoma, that is spiritual world, and Pradana, the material world. And it is made up of the sweat water of the Vedanga Janita, the Veda personified personalities. Just like Garbhodaka ocean, the sweat water of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Karana ocean is the perspiration of the Vedas personified form.
So is that to be considered in terms of substance? Is that material or spiritual? Because it seems to be higher than Pradana in one sense.
Yes. It is the water upon which Karnadaksha Vishnu himself is sleeping, Viraja Nadi. It is the manifestation from Vedanga Sweda Janita. See, Prabhuji, ultimately, from the Lord's point of view, nothing is material, nothing is spiritual. All are his different energies.
Yeah, that is fine, Prabhu. Yeah, but this is above the Pradhan, right? I mean, it is not related to the Pradhan. The Karan Ocean, we should understand in whatever is that the whole bandwidth of that material to spiritual spectrum. This is above the Pradhan because looks like all the elements are still distinct.
Yes.
And this is still, it's on the border between matter and spirit. So it is something very unique in the sense that it seems like it is a transition kind of an existence between matter and spirit, right? It is not Pradhan, but it is between Brahman and this thing. Can we just say like that?
Bhagavatam second canto, we understand that it is Mahavishnu who is seen by Jnanis as Brahman, who is seen as Paramatma by the yogis, who is seen as Bhagavan by the devotees. And that Mahavishnu is lying down in Karana ocean. Just like we have so many Vishnu forms living in Vaikuntha. So the abode of Mahavishnu is Karana ocean. So if Mahavishnu is transcendental, then Karana ocean also transcendental.
Okay.
So like that we can see.
Okay. Okay. So it is not Pradhana, it is definitely higher than Pradhana.
No, it is not Pradhana. It is there before that. Before Pradhana manifests, Karana ocean is always there.
Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, one more question, if you may permit. Prabhu, you mentioned earlier, in terms of the inaccessibility of the various khandas within Bharatvarsha and other things. And you had made one comment at that point in time that the previous kings in previous yugas had access to others, right? So you made one comment that up to Yudhishthir Maharaj, which was in Dwapara, that he was ruling the whole Bharatvarsha, or was he only Bharat Khanda? Can you repeat which yugas can had access up to which areas in terms of the kings?
The kings during Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, they were ruling over entire Bhumandala. In Dwapara Yuga, all the way up to Yudhishthira Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj, they were ruling over entire Jambudvipa. After Parikshit Maharaj, starting with Janamejaya and all, the ability to rule over the entire Jambudvipa kind of restricted. So Janamejaya, starting with Janamejaya, we can take. He was ruling the entire Bharatavarsha. And after a couple of generations, they could only rule over entire Bharatakanda only, not even complete Bharatavarsha. And today we see within Bharatakanda, we have so many subcontinents, continents, so many countries, states. So division has become much smaller. So in that way.
Okay. Prabhu, another quick one. In terms of the Bharat Khanda itself, we talk about so many continents, and there is also this modern geological theory of movement of continents, and that they were all together and they moved apart. Is there any reference to this in the Vedic cosmology?
At least I don't know, Prabhuji, but as far as whatever little I have read, I did not come across any such things.
Fine, thank you.
See, unfortunately, for our mundane eye, we can't visualize many of the other things that are mentioned in the Vedic literature. So whatever that has been mentioned in the Vedic literature, somehow or other, many of the past, they have kind of included everything within the perceivable Earth globe only. For example, our Earth globe itself has 7 continents. The 7 dvipas of the Bhumandala are kind of compared with the 7 continents that we come across: Asia, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, something like that. They are compared with that. So that's how many places the discussion ends there only. That's all. This is it. Like that. But at least with respect to the dimension, with respect to the details given in the Puranas, many places, and seeing the many pastime places in relation to Ramayana, Mahabharata and all, we can actually accept. Not that just because we are not perceiving, so we don't have to deny them. They were there. The past people were perceiving and they were having access to it. So why can't we deny that? We can have benefit out of in that sense.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So just want to understand where is the location of Jagannath Puri in spiritual world?
I don't know, Prabhuji. Where is the location of Jagannath Puri in the spiritual world? I don't have any clue.
Okay.
So I heard it's in Golok. In the center there is Goloka, and then far is basically Mathura, and then Dwarika, and then Puri, like that.
That is all according to Rasa. From the Rasa point of view, they are mentioned. Aishwarya to Madhurya. As you go toward the center, then Madhurya is becoming prominent as per our Gaudiya Vaishnava theology.
Prabhuji, the question that I have is that after Brahman Jyoti, we see that there is a abode of Lord Shiva. Is it Adi Shiva who is Vishnu Tattva, or is it Shiva who is basically Shiva Tattva?
This Shiva is Shambhu Tattva. This Shambhu Tattva is, as we read in Brahma Samhita, like milk transformed into curd. It's like that. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu only, but is not completely Lord Vishnu.
So what's the name of that abode?
This abode is within Brahma Jyoti only. So Vaikuntha starts from this line, and from this line to this line, the intermediate area is all called Brahma Jyoti. Within Brahma Jyoti only, we have this abode of Sadashiva Loka. So just like Lord Vishnu is the Lord of Vaikuntha, Sadashiva is the Lord of Brahma Jyoti. In that sense,
We can't call it Kailash, right? It's not Kailash.
Because since Lord Shiva is staying there, you can call it Kailash.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Sadashiva Loka, it is called as.
So
there in Canto 3, we recently published a book based on that also. We have the subject matter about Sarga, the primary creation, and Visarga, secondary creation. So we presented this particular understanding. What is the connection between Sadashiva and Vishnu? So Bhagavatam explained that at the beginning of the creation, when Mahavishnu wanted to create, Prakriti, the material nature, appears from the various skin pores of Mahavishnu, which is called as Pradhana or Dravya or Gunamaya. That Maya consisting of 3 modes of material nature. That's why it is called Gunamaya. So then Mahavishnu glanced upon that Gunamaya, as we read in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text number 3. Mama yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham. This Gunamaya or Prakriti or Pradhana is the place of impregnation. So Mahavishnu, by glancing upon this Gunamaya or Pradhana, he impregnates Pradhana with Kala Shakti and Jiva Shakti. The Kala and Jiva were impregnated into the womb of Pradhana just by glancing. So that glance, before reaching Pradhana, the Kala Shakti within the glance transforms itself into Shambhu Tattva. The Kala Shakti, which is the potency of Mahavishnu, which activates the 3 modes and which creates, maintains and annihilates the entire universe, before reaching Pradhana, before reaching Prakriti, it transforms into Shambhu Tattva. And that Shambhu Tattva is Mahakala Purusha, or Kala Bhairava. He is also called as Sadashiva. And the interaction of that Sadashiva and Prakriti, whom we call as Durga Devi, is the reason of the creation of unlimited variety of living material universes. So it is like that.
So Prabhu, what you said is basically how a particular universe gets created. So this is below Karna ocean. So for each universe, that's how the phenomena works. But the Shiva abode that we are seeing, that's after Brahm Jyoti. So it's beyond Karna ocean. So that Shiva is not Sambhu Tattva, right? So Shiva Sambhu Tattva is the one that you just mentioned, that he receives the energy from Mahavishnu, and then he looks at the energy, and then Rama Devi and all of that concept. I understand, but this Shiva here that we are seeing, that Shiva is beyond that Sambhu.
That Shiva himself is Shambhu Tattva, that Shiva is Sadashiva, that Shiva is the same Mahakala Purusha. Here there is a limitation with the image drawn like that, understanding like that. See, understanding is that if we read Bhagavatam 2nd canto, it is very clear. Even this Viraja Nadi, this entire area is actually Brahmajyoti. Everything is called Brahmajyoti. In one sense, Brahmajyoti is not something, some light here and there. It is Mahavishnu only. He is perceived as Brahmajyoti by Jnanis. It is the Jnanis, the way of presentation by the Jnanis about Mahavishnu. They introduce Mahavishnu as Brahmajyoti. The yogis introduce Mahavishnu as Paramatma. The devotees introduce Mahavishnu as Bhagavan. That is their understanding. So in this picture, they wanted to show distinction. That's why here they showed Viraja river, there is the Brahmajyoti, then Sadashiva Loka, something like that. It is not like that. This Mahavishnu's glance itself transforms into Sadashiva. And thus Sadashiva interacts with Prakriti and creates unlimited universes. Of course, Prakriti creates 24 material elements. By the combination of them, universes are formed eventually. So though in this picture you may see that okay, Vishnu is below and Sadashiva is above, not like that. The concept we may not be able to put into picture perfectly. So there could be some limitation in that.
Oh, so my understanding was that as Sankarsana is expanding into Karna, Garbha and Chirodakshai Vishnu, likewise Sadashiva expands into other Sambhu Tattva.
Sadashiva himself is called Shambhu Tattva. There is no distinction between those two. Just like Lord Vishnu comes to material world in the form of various avatars. Similarly, the Sadashiva comes in the form of 11 Rudras. One among the 11 Rudras is Shankara, who stays in Kailash. Yeah.
So this is all that. So 11 Rudras are expansion of the Sambhu Tattva. That's what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Sadashiva, Shambhu Tattva, both are same only.
Okay. That makes I got it, Prabhuji.
And these two are in one sense non-different from Mahavishnu only. Mahavishnu's potency in the form of Kala is Sadashiva.
Yes,
in one sense, both are same and also different.
Prabhuji, just I have two questions. One is this material nature or Durga Devi or Pradhan, they are all same? Because in Bhagavatam it is mentioned differently. They all are same.
They are all same. Okay. We generally call her as Maya or Mahamaya.
Okay.
So
and second thing is...
One second, Prabhuji. That Mahamaya has three components. One is Pradhana, other one is Vidya and Avidya. That Pradhana is called as Gunamaya. So one aspect of Maya consisting of three modes of material nature is called Gunamaya. That Gunamaya's other names are Prakriti, Pradhana, Dravya.
Okay. And second thing, that Jiva, when this creation start, the Jiva come from Mahavishnu, and then it come to this Sambhu, and then from Sambhu it impregnate to material nature, or how this Jiva comes along with Kala. Jiva also come to material nature. How it comes?
Through the glance of Mahavishnu. After the previous annihilation, all the living entities and also Pradhana, they enter into the body of Karnadaksha Vishnu. they take rest within Karanadakshaya Vishnu. When it was the right time to create, first Prakriti comes out of his skin pores, then from his glands, there comes Jiva Shakti and Kala Shakti. That Kala Shakti in between transforms as Mahakala Purusha or Shambhu Tattva, and Jiva Shakti also enters into the womb of Prakriti.
So Jiva Shakti come directly or through Shambhu, Mahavishnu? Sorry.
Through Shambhu.
Through
Mahavishnu,
Shambhu. Okay.
who expands as Shambhu, and through Shambhu enters into the womb of Prakriti.
Okay. So Mahavishnu we can call both. It's carrying the Jiva as well as Kala. Both.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhu, sorry, just to the same point that you had mentioned with respect to Sadashiva. So based on what you described, it seems Sadashiva or any form of Shiva Tattva always has association with Maya. Is that so?
Yeah, they are wife and husband. They always have sambandha.
So that means, yeah, so even within, and the reason I'm asking is, my understanding was that Sadashiva, because he is, so to say, beyond Brahmajyoti, at least from a diagrammatic perspective, it is beyond the reach of Maya. And there, I think the goddess is present not as Gunamayi Maya, but rather as Rama or some other form, isn't it?
No. One aspect of Rama Devi is Gunamaya. So Rama Devi is called Mahamaya. She has three aspects. One is Pradhana, other one is Vidya and Avidya. So they are all different services that she performs.
But Rama in her original form as Rama is material energy or spiritual energy?
Oh, spiritual energy. She is expensive enough.
See, there is one verse in Brahma Samhita. Chayeva yasya bivarti bhuvanani durga. For Mahavishnu, his counterpart is Sri Lakshmi.
Correct.
She is the original Rama Devi.
Correct.
For the purpose of creation, Mahavishnu Mahavishnu expands as Sadashiva.
Correct.
And that original Rama Devi expands as Chaya Rama Devi. That is Durga Devi.
Yeah, correct. Bro. Yeah. So that means she's still the material energy, right? She's just not in Sadashiva Loka, I'm saying.
Yes.
She's still material, right? It's not a spiritual energy. So that means Shiva Tattva in any form is associated with his corresponding, which is because the whole purpose of existence of Shambhu is that interface between matter and spirit, isn't it?
Yes.
Correct. Which means always his consort will be an aspect of material energy and not the spiritual energy.
Mahavishnu does not directly interact with material energy. He interacts with material energy through Shambhu Tattva.
Correct.
So in that way.
Okay.
Thank you. So can we move on?
Is it right that because Shiva is not material energy, it's but Durga Devi is material energy, not spiritual. So just a question coming out.
Prabhuji, it is all seva. Seva of Durga Devi is to facilitate our material enjoyment. She is nowhere material. Her seva is called in terms of material activity, material energy.
No, means Durga Devi is passing through the life and death cycle, but Shiva is not passing through life and death cycle. He is beyond life and death. But
Where
Durga Devi
where Durga Devi passing through life and death cycle?
No, it is mentioned many times. Durga Devi come in form of Parvati or any other form, and the call of different Durga Devis is carried by Shiva.
If that is the case, Vishnu is also coming in many forms. He also going through appearance and disappearance. He appeared as Lord Ram and disappeared. He appeared as Lord Krishna, disappeared. He appeared as in various avatars and disappeared.
So how will take Shiva and Parvati?
They are all Leela, Prabhuji. They are all Leela. Don't worry about that. They are all Leela. The only one appearance disappearance we see in the Akshaya Yajna, Sati burnt herself and appeared as Parvati and then married Lord Shiva. They are all Leela. Within the universe, in order to maintain the universe, they perform various pastimes.
Okay, but actually we can consider both Shiva and Parvati beyond life and death. Is it correct?
What to speak of Shiva and Parvati? You and me also beyond life and death. What goes through life and death is only the material body.
Yes, right.
So how can we attribute that life and death to Shiva?
No, like Brahma, I consider Brahma. Brahma has a life, death. He is passing through that cycle. So that in that form, I am just comparing. So Shiva is beyond Brahma, is life and death. And so Parvati is how? It's coming in Brahma's kind of thing or Shiva's kind of thing.
See, Prabhuji, forget about Parvati, Shiva, Brahma, etc. Just like Bhagavan is eternal, every Jiva is also eternal. Our birth and death is nothing but as good as changing the outer dress. Vasham cha jirnani yata vyahaya navani jirnani naroparani. It's all as a result of our desires and our activities. It's like that. It's all a kind of pastime. So they are appearing in a different avatars. Lord also appears in various avatars. Like that, Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva also appear, Sadashiva also appearing in various avatars in order to facilitate our enjoyment here in this material world.
Okay.
They are ever eternal. They are in their true identity. They are also in Sachidananda Swarupa. But their services seems to be for us so material, ghastly, and all. That is only their concern for us.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is that we can see beyond Brahm Jyoti in the chart, the Shiva with that mountain, that is Kailash. So my understanding is that still material world, or because where it says, what is that, something, the other lokas, that's where it's, on top, that's where does the spiritual world start?
Actually,
Shiva in material world?
This picture, little bit confusion. Always we think that okay, somebody is above means is greater. Not like that. Here they wanted to show some distinction. That's why they made it like this.
I know. I'm not trying to check the hierarchy. I understand that. I understand Mahavishnu and Karna, Daksha, Ishiro. That much I understand. But I want to know whether that part is in material world where Shiva is showing in the chart, or it is part of spiritual world. Because Brahm Jyoti is definitely material.
No, Brahma Jyoti is not material. That is also transcendental, spiritual only.
Okay. So the blue part where the bubble kind of starts, that's where the Karno, Daksha, Vishnu is material world?
I think beyond the universe layer, it is spiritual world.
Okay. Understood. The layers are there. Okay. Yeah. So
yes, after that, beyond that, spiritual.
Okay, so Brahm Jyoti is also in spiritual. I get this confusion when you talk about Pradhan, Vidya and Avidya, which we learned in on Saturday. Gauranam Prabhu was teaching the second canto, I think the 5th chapter. We are on that, and he explained very well. But forgive my ignorance. I have this desire to learn this topic, but I'm ignorant. But I want to learn. But every time it gets confusing with repetition also. So how would you explain Pradhan, Vidya and Avidya for someone like me to understand?
Okay. So, I'm just asking one confirmation. You have children?
I have one daughter.
Yeah, okay. So, good example. We can connect to it. So, you planned for children. The child grows in the womb for 9 months. Then child comes out. Again, you take care of the child very nicely for the first 5 years. Then what do you do the next one? When the child is at 5 years, what is the first activity that you perform for the child? What the benefit of the child?
When the child is born?
No, when the child is 5 years old, what is the important thing the parents always worried about? And they take immediate action for the child's benefit. What is
Education.
that?
Education.
Perfect. So, Jiva comes to this material world. Jiva means Atma, the spirit soul. For the spirit soul to enjoy separate from the Supreme Lord, separate from the service of Supreme Lord, they need to have a different universe. They need to have a different bodily structure. That body is given by Pradhana. Pradhana transforms into 24 material elements. 5 Panchamahabhutas, 5 Tanmatras, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, mind, intelligence, ego, Chetana. Our body is made up of these 24 elements. The outer covering, which is developed during the 9 months pregnancy period in the womb of mother, and the first 5 years, where mother takes care day and night for the growth of the child. Of course, which happens even further also, but first 5 years like initial stages of the growth of the child. So now Pradhana, that is the Seva Pradhana. And then, by the way, there is a covering for the Jiva given by Avidya. Jiva in the spiritual world, it was Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nityadas, or Mamai Vamshe Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. That Jiva's father was Lord Vishnu, Jiva's mother was Sri Lakshmi, something like that. But when the Jiva comes to material world, taking shelter of Pradhana, entering into the womb of a mother and getting out of the womb, we forget our original identity. Who we really were in the spiritual world, we forget that. That is avidya. The first layer of avidya is forgetfulness of our true identity. The second layer of avidya is we get new identity. When the child is 1 year old, everyone starts saying, okay, this is your mother, this is your father, this is your atta, mama, brother, sister, like there are so many things. We start developing so many relationships. And we also were given a name. You are Chinni, Munni, like that. That is called Asmita. We get a new identity in this material world as long as we are living. It is at various levels. As a child, as a male, female, as a human being. Especially with the body, as long as we are in the human body, we are called human being. If we are in the animal body, we are called animal. So that identity will be given by that bodily structure. And also subsequent identities will be there. That is second covering, that is Asmita. And while living with that identity, we make friends with some people who are source of our enjoyment. So we want to have those people along with us till the end of our life because they are giving us joy and enjoyment. That is called raga. We develop attachment to those people or those objects or those places. But some other people also want to enjoy those objects. There is a competition. For example, I am happy in a particular place. Somebody else eyed upon that place. They want to usurp that place from me. There is an enmity between both of us. That is called dvesha. Limited resources, unlimited competition. And finally, the fifth layer is abhinivesha. Everyone, all of us know that there is something called death. Death means full stop to my enjoyment. So before death comes, that jiva want to enjoy as much as possible. Absorption in sense gratification out of fear of death is called abhinivesha. This is how, in order to have more and more enjoyment before death comes, we tend to perform sinful activities. Because performing sinful activities is shortcome to get enjoyment. In order to enjoy in a honorable way, we need to go through a lot of austerities. But to have more and more quick enjoyment, people will go through sinful activities. As a result of all these 5 layers, we are bound in this material world. Just to have more enjoyment, we perform more sinful activities. So we need to go through cycle of repeated birth and death. We are bound in this material world. In order to come out of the cycle of repeated birth and death, we need to take shelter of Vidya. Vidya means the Vedic literatures which teach us Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Practicing which we can come out of the clutches of Avidya, the 5 layers of Avidya, and we can become qualified to go back home to Godhead. These are the 3 different functions of Maya Devi. So it's like that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. You really cleared my doubt. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I have many questions, but we'll let you move on.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me, Prabhu? Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhu, here here also we have different means similarity, like Himalayas we have here, and then we have Rameshwaram where Rama went to Lanka, and here also we have Lanka, and there are other places also here. So how to understand the means we have different places which are similar, but what we see here is Himalayas is very huge in size, and Lanka also outside this, but we also refer here, and we have many places similar to that. So how to understand that?
Simple, Prabhuji. These are all prototype places. Just like His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj inspired devotees here in Govardhan Eco Village to construct Vrindavan, the 12 forests of Vrindavan, the 7 temples of Goswamis, like that. So when we go to GEV, they say that, okay, this is Mahavan, this is Baulavan, this is Belavan, this is Kumudavan. Are they really?
It's
They are replicas. They are the replicas of the original places. But when we go to Vrindavan, they are real.
yes.
Similarly, some of the places which we see all over India here and there, some of them are original, some of them are replicas. For example, if you go to Himalayas, so nowadays there are a lot of yatras are happening. Even from Chowpatty, there are 2 yatras groups went recent in the last week. Badrinath we go. So Badrinath is a replica of the original Badrinath in the Greater Himalayas. It is in the Greater Himalayas, Lord Narayana Rishis are actually performing tapasya. And in our Himalayas, we have the temple Badrinath, a replica of the original pastime place. In the Greater Himalayas, Vyasadeva actually residing and teaching his disciples, etc. Here in our Himalayas, we have Badrikashram or Vyasa Gufa, etc. etc. In the Greater Himalayas, Lord Shiva actually residing with Parvati Devi, Nandi, and other associates. But in our Himalayas, we have the temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, like Manas Sarovar, Kailash, etc. we say. So these are all replica places, which are replica of the original place in the Greater Himalayas. Like that Sri Lanka, many of us may hear that, okay, Sri Lanka is the Lanka where Ravana was there, etc. But Sri Lanka is not Lanka, it is only a replica of the original Lanka. Original Lanka is outside Jambudipa. So in that way. Just like GEV is a replica of Vrindavan, something like that.
The same potency is there. Same potency is there that visiting the hill.
When it's not about the potency. Potency all depends upon how much purity we have to access the pastime. Even Vrindavan also may be potent, but if a person is indifferent to that place, he does not receive any mercy only. If a casual person going to Vrindavan for some fun, what mercy will receive? So it's like that.
Thank you. Very good.
Okay. So we will move on a little bit. We'll discuss today. Then we'll take some questions at the end. So then, in the first 6 verses of the 24th chapter, there is a description about Bhuvarloka. So Bhuvarloka is also called as Antariksha. It is the sky between the heaven and earth. Dyav a prithviyor antarena nabo valayastya. Say antarena antariksham tadubaya sannidau. It's basically there is Bhuloka, which we called as Bhumandala, and above that there is Svargaloka, which is called Divi. But the intermediate place which is joining these two is called Bhuvarloka, which is also called Antariksha. The width of Antariksha is 2 lakh yojanas. And it is a place of enjoyment for Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhuta, Preta, Pishashas. Such kind of living entities are residing here. So, as we say that, it is a place above Bhuloka and below Sargaloka. But above Bhuloka, at what height it starts? So, Bhuloka means the surface of the earth. Above the surface of the earth, at what height actually Bhuloka starts? That is, to the extent the wind blows, to the extent the clouds float, that much sky belongs to Bhuloka. After that, Bhuvarloka starts. So when some of us travel to one place to other place or abroad, we travel in the flight. The flights travel at a height of 9 kilometers somewhat. 9 kilometers is somewhat close to 1 yojana. 1 yojana is 13 kilometers. So there we have the normal wind that we experience. The clouds are floating. So that is all belongs to the Bhuloka only. The area to the extent our flights travel, that all belongs to Bhuloka only. Maybe as we go a little bit further higher and higher, where there is no more air to which we are connected to, the air with which we are breathing, and the air which is helping us like cold wind or hot wind, etc. So all these things, this wind stops moving. That's where Bhuloka starts. So in that way. So within this Bhuloka area, which is between moon and Bhumandala, these are all the different people who are residing. Starting from moon, as you go downward little bit, there comes the abode of Gandharvas and Apsaras. And as you go little bit downward, there comes the place of Kinnaras and Kimpurushas. As you go downward little bit, there comes sun. As you go downward little bit, there comes the abode of Rahu and Ketu. And as you go downward, there comes the abode of Siddha, Charanas and Vidyadharas. Then as you go downward, you get the abode of Yakshas and Rakshasas, and also the abodes of Bhuta, Preta, Pichashas. Then if you go downward little bit, you get to Bhumandala. So these are the different people and different places that are there in the Bhuloka. Bhuloka means the place between Bhumandala and the moon. In all the pictures, we are showing moon, and we are also showing the Bhumandala. The intermediate space is all about known as Bhuloka. It's like that. So within this Bhuloka, 10,000 yojanas below the orbit of sun, we have Rahu and Ketu. One side Rahu is there, other side Ketu will be there. And 10,000 yojanas below Rahu Ketu, we have Siddha, Charanas, Vidyadharas. And 10,000, the 79,000, 9,000 yojanas below that, we have Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhuta, Preta, Pishashas. And 100 yojanas below that, we have the surface of the Bhumandala. And in the moon, the Sadhyas and Pitrus are residing. And below moon and above sun, we have Gandharvas and Apsaras and Kinnaras, Kimpurushas. These are the different people that are residing in the Bhuloka. If you remember, in the 10th chapter of Canto 3, there is a 4 category of creation by Brahma. There is a discussion about the 4 types of creation by Brahma. The first type of creation was about the different variety of plants and trees. Second category of creation is about different variety of animals, living entities of lower consciousness, such as aquatics, reptiles, mammals, birds and beasts, etc. And third category of creation is that of human beings. And the fourth category of creation is 8 types of superhuman beings. There it was mentioned as 8 types of devatas. So among the 8 types of devatas, 6 category of personalities are living in the Bhuloka. And 1 category, which is the main devatas, they reside in the Svargaloka. Svargaloka is starting with moon. It goes all the way up to Dhruvaloka. The moon to Dhruvaloka, that entire area is called Svargaloka, where the principal devatas are residing. And out of 8, the principal devatas are residing in the Svargaloka. And remaining 6 categories are residing in the Bhuloka. You count here. Sadhyas and Pitrus are 1 category. Gandharvas, Apsaras 1 category. Kinnaras, Kimpurushas 1 category. Siddha, Charanas, Vidyadharas 1 category. Yakshas, Rakshasas 1 category. Bhuta, Preta, Pishashas 1 category. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 category of people are residing in the Bhuloka. And 1 category, the main devatas in the Svargaloka. And finally, the 8th category, who are known as Asuras, also have subcategories such as Daityas, Danavas. They reside in the 7 lower planetary systems, the 7 Bilasvargas. So, like that, the 8 category of superhuman beings reside in these different places. So, that is the understanding. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu?
Prabhu, just to clarify, these 8 categories, and like you mentioned, Antariksha is the in-between space. So what does this mean? Because there doesn't seem to be an abode, or is there a subtle realm where there is a manifestation of the subtle elements where they are staying, or what is the nature of this
Okay,
loka?
okay. Good question. See, all these people, they live in Vimanas. You remember the Vimana created by Kardama Muni?
Correct.
What are the details mentioned about that Vimana? Beautiful buildings, palaces made up of canopies, made up of different rubies and emeralds, etc., etc., waterfalls,
Correct.
and so many things, gardens, lakes, and so many things. These are all different Vimanas. And there is a discussion about another Vimana in the 6th canto. Chitraketu Maharaj,
Correct.
after the death of his son, he was instructed by Narada Muni. He performed austerities for 1 week. He became the king of Vidyadharas. So Vidyadharas are here. He was given an airplane. He traveled in that airplane for 1 lakh years. Then he was cast by Mother Parvati to become Vrutrasura.
Correct.
These are all Vimanas. And every personality here, except the Pitrus and Sadhyas who are residing in the moon, remaining all are residing in the Vimanas. Every personality is actually residing in one Vimana. Of course, one means he will be there, his wife will be there, servants will be there, Brahmanas and others, so different. Their entire written like a big kingdom. And these Vimanas are seen by all of us like the
Stars.
For example, here you see Bhartakanda. We in India are somewhere very close to the line of equator. And when we stand on the surface of the Bhumandala, the earth globe, we'll stand like this. Our feet are here, our head is here. For example, now. So when I see above my head, that means for here, above my head, this side. So whatever I see above my head is this sky.
Correct.
So every night when I look upward, whatever stars I see above, these stars are mostly in the Bhuvarloka, the residents of Bhuvarloka. When I see the stars toward the north, those stars above moon, above Sadhyas and Pitrus, those stars are part of Svargaloka. The stars which are above my head in this area. So you see my hands in this area is in the Bhuvarloka, and the stars which are above this side,
Correct.
they are part of Svargaloka.
Correct.
Even in Svargaloka also, all the people who are residing in Svargaloka, they also have Vimanas. Except those Navagrahas, and remaining all have Vimanas. And the size of these Vimanas varies from half yojana to 100 yojanas. Half yojana is 6.5 kilometers. That is the minimum size of a star. Star means you can take as a circular Vimana, and the diameter of the circular Vimana is 6.5 yojanas. When a person performs pious activities, when that person goes to heaven, that person will be made as the leader or the Yajaman of a particular star, which is having an area of 6.5 kilometers. So it is like that.
So what about there are certain celestial bodies, which are not a part of the Navagraha, whether it's Pluto, Neptune, the asteroid belt, and all this.
There are also some other stars which scientists might be calling them as Neptune, Pluto, and all. They are some bigger stars. They might be calling them. There are only 9 planets according to our Vedic literatures.
Correct.
That 9 planets are nothing but Navagrahas, which we see in Lord Shiva's temple all over India.
So all others will fall into one of these categories. Essentially,
yes.
That's what you're saying.
All of the other fall in the category of stars, which we call them Vimanas in Sanskrit. Of the residents of Bhuvarloka or Svargaloka.
Prabhupada makes an interesting reference in Dhruva's pastime to Yakshas, especially Dhruva's fight with Yakshas. Prabhupada makes a comment and says that the Yakshas seem to be the people belonging to the Tibet region. So it was a bit confusing in the purport. Prabhupada explicitly makes that comment.
That is Prabhupada's way of explaining things. Generally, see, when Prabhupada was speaking, when Prabhupada was writing, who were his immediate audience? Who were Prabhupada's immediate audience?
Western, correct. The Western, modern, scientific kind of intellectuals.
Not even modern scientific. The Western hippie crowd. Who had no concept and no understanding of these Vedic concepts and all. How to connect to them? So many of these Vedic details, Prabhupada writes in terms of the experiential places. Actually, I was just mentioning that Lord Shiva stays in the greater Himalayas. Adjacent to Lord Shiva's abode is the abode of Kuvera.
Yeah.
Kuvera is the Lord of Yakshas.
Correct.
So Dhruva Maharaj went to that greater Himalayas to fight with the Yakshas. Okay?
Correct.
If Prabhupada starts talking about there are some other Himalayas to hippie crowd of America, what they will accept? In order to help them connect. So Prabhupada says that Dhruva Maharaj went to Himalayan range and that is where he fought with the Yakshas. That is somewhat close to Tibet region. Tibet is upper part of the Himalayas only, na?
Correct.
So simple. Even many places Prabhupada says that the 7 Dvipa that are mentioned in the Bhagavatam are the 7 continents on the earth globe.
Correct. That's what was also another confusing. That's why I asked that question
But
earlier.
Prabhupada has to connect to the people in the America who don't have any connection to Vedic concepts. So how to connect? So many times Prabhupada speaks that immediate standing. So by reading all those things, okay, they say, okay, Vedas are also talking about our places. When they come into Krishna consciousness, after practicing Krishna consciousness for a few years, when they are purified, then they will get exposed to the higher topics. Something like that.
Correct. Prabhu, the Bhuta Preta Pishachas are at some forms of deceased human beings only, right? At the end of the day.
Not necessarily. They are also created
Not
by
necessarily.
Brahma. Even among them, there are powerful bhutas, less powerful bhutas. The bhutas which are around us, they are very, 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 very simple, ordinary, less powerful bhutas. But the bhutas is here, they are actually more powerful. They are as powerful as Yakshas and Rakshasas.
Okay, so they are not necessarily ghosts in the sense we understand them. They are a separate kind of. They are not humans who have died and become Bhuta Preta Pishach. Not necessarily. That's what you are saying.
Yeah, I would say little more than that. As we study in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Deva Bhutanyanti Bhuteja. So some people who really want to become ghosts, they also have a sadhana.
Okay.
It's like all of us are practicing sadhana, bhakti, in order to go to Golok Vrindavan, our spiritual world. Same way, in order to become bhutas, one among the bhutas also there is sadhana.
Correct.
So some people practicing that, they become powerful bhutas. Some people accidentally become bhutas because nobody in their family performs Shraddha rites. So they did not get next body. So some people abruptly died. They have still some more lifespan is left in their life. So they wander here and there like bhutas for some time. Then they go on to the next destination. But some people who deliberately want to become bhutas, they actually become bhutas. They continue to stay as bhutas. So it's like that.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, one question, simple. That Pitra, Pitra Loka is
Here.
near to Yamaloka in the bottom, but below the earth.
Can we
what is
discuss a
that?
little later? Actually, in the next chapter, that Pitraloka discussion comes. That time we will discuss about Pitraloka, that Yamaloka, what is that Pitraloka in the Yamaloka and all. We'll discuss little later.
Okay.
But otherwise, for all the practical purposes, whenever Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana talk about Pitraloka, Pitraloka means moon.
Okay. Okay. We'll discuss it later because many times it is mentioned that.
Yeah, it is mentioned there. I will talk about that at that time.
Okay.
I'll show the picture of that and then I'll discuss. Okay, we'll move on.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So after talking about the Bhuvarloka, then this chapter talks about the 7 lower planetary systems. These 7 lower planetary systems are situated beneath the earth. There are 7 netherworlds. Avaner api adastat sapta bhu vivara ekaikasho yojanayu tantare nayama vistarena upakalpita. Bhu vivara means in the hollow cavities of the Bhumandala. They have length, width and height of 10,000 yojanas each. They are actually cubical structure. They are actually a cubical cave. There are 7 caves within the Bhumandala with a gap of 500 yojanas. They are the abodes of Daityas and Danavas and Nagas. Daityas and Danavas are called Asuras. If you remember the 20th chapter of the 3rd canto, there is a description about how these 8 superhuman beings were created. how the Devatas were created, how the Asuras, Daityas, Danavas, and how Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Gandharvas, they were created. By the way, there is a discussion about Nagas also. When Brahma falls asleep, his body limbs fell apart, his hairs fell apart, from that came Nagas. These Nagas are also very powerful like the Asuras. So they were also given a place to reside in the 7 lower planetary systems. And these people by the very birth, they have the wealth, power, bliss and sense enjoyment greater than that of the Swarga. That's why these abodes are called Bila Swarga. They are also as good as Swarga in terms of opulence. And they are immersed in illusory enjoyment, being situated in their fine houses and gardens and lakes, etc. etc. And their desires are more unimpeded than Swarga. In Swarga also there are opulences. In Bila Swarga also there are opulences. But the people of Bila Swarga, the Asuras, keep waging war against Swarga, against Indra. The enjoyment of the residents of Swarga Loka is keep disturbing by the Asuras. But the Devatas never wage war against the Asuras in Bila Swarga. Because Devatas are not interested in the opulence of Bila Swarga. But the Asuras are interested in the opulence of Swarga. That's why the Devatas' happiness is keep disturbed. But the Asuras' happiness is never disturbed. So in that way. And since sunlight does not go into the 7 lower planetary systems, there is no counting of day and night. So they don't have the counting of years, etc. etc. So they don't have any fear of death. If they don't meddle with Devatas, they can live as long as they want without any fear of death. Because they don't have any counting. And by birth, they have all these facilities. By drinking some kind of elixirs, their body never becomes old. They always remain youthful. This is the special feature of these lower planetary systems. These are some of the pictures we can see that. So since there is no sunlight going to that place, they get light from the jewels that are bedecked in their walls, building walls, and the Nagamanis that are there in the hoods of the snakes, they get light in their respective abodes. They don't have sunlight there. So here we have 7 lower planetary systems known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So out of these 7 places, Atala is meant for Asuras, their leader is Bala, and Vitala is meant for Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhuta, Preta, Pishasha. They also stay here. And one of the 11 Rudras resides here in the Vitala Loka. And Sutala is also meant for Asuras. So different variety of Asuras are residing. But after Vamana Deva pastime, though Lord Vamana willing to award entry into Vaikuntha to Bali Maharaj, but Bali Maharaj was not ready to go to Vaikuntha because he wanted to become Indra. So Lord Vamana told that for this Manvantara I have made Purandara the Indra. So may you become Indra in the next Manvantara. After that you can come to Vaikuntha. But till then, till the completion of this current 7th Manvantara, you stay in Sutraloka. In Sutraloka, for Bali Maharaj, Lord Vamana requested Vishwakarma to construct a special building. So Bali Maharaj is residing in that special building in Sutraloka. But Sutraloka is also abode of Asuras. And those Asuras might come to Bali Maharaj and contaminate his consciousness. So that in order to protect the consciousness of Bali Maharaj, Lord Vamana personally guarding the palace. He does not allow any Asuras enter into the palace of Bali Maharaj. So that is a special feature of this place. And Tala is also the abode of Asuras. Their leader is Mayadanava. Mahatala is the abode of many hooded serpents who are the children of Kadru. And Rasatala is the main abode of Asuras. The Daityas and Danavas mainly reside in Rasatala. The Rasatala is the main capital of the Asuras. And finally, Patala is the abode of different variety of Nagas, different variety of snakes who are also the children of Kadru. So like that, out of the 7 planets, 7 planet abodes, Atala, Sutala, Talatala, and Rasatala. The 4 are meant for Asuras. Vitala is meant for Bhuta, Preta, Pishashas, Yakshas, and Rakshasas. And Mahatala and Rapatala are meant for different variety of snakes and Nagas. So they are the different people residing in these different places. So these are the 7 lower planetary systems within the Bhumandala, known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So Mount Meru itself goes downward by 16,000 yojanas. Starting from the base of the Mount Meru, we have 7 lower planetary systems. Each one is about 10,000 yojanas in each direction. From here to here, it is 10,000. And from here to here, there is a gap of 500 yojanas, which is the earth, in between separating earth. And then another 10,500, 10,500, 10,500, 10,500, 10,500, 10,500. Like that, from here to here, to the bottom of Patala is about 89,000 yojanas. And from there, 11,000 yojanas Bhumandala still further continues. So in that Bhumandala area, here we have unlimited variety of hellish planetary systems, but out of which 28 hellish planetary systems are famous. And Bhagavatam 3rd canto says that from Bhartakanda, the distance between Bhartakanda to hellish planetary systems is about 19,000 yojanas. The total thickness of the Bhumandala is 100,000. So it is at additional 19,000 yojanas. That means even the hellish planetary systems are also inside the Bhumandala in variety of caves. So the places where the punishment is awarded to the sinful human beings is hellish planetary system. But the judgment is given by Yamaraj. The place where Yamaraj stays, basically the quarters of Yamaraj, the quarters of Chitragupta, the quarters of other people who are also there in the court of Yamaraj, that place is called as Pitruloka. There is one Pitruloka in the moon planet. There is a subsidiary, secondary Pitruloka here, where the cursor is there, in Yamaloka, where Yamaraj is staying. Yamaraj is the king of that secondary Pitruloka. So some of the pious people who perform very less pious activity, they'll go to this Pitruloka. Those who do little more pious activity, they go to the Pitruloka in the moon planet. Those who are done more and more pious activity, they actually go to the main Sargaloka. So like that, we can understand that is the kind of gradation of these 3 different abodes. And this entire Bhumandala is held by Lord Shesha on one of his hoods. Shesha is carrying the entire Bhumandala on his hood. So this is how the different places of these different people are located. So here is a small video. We'll see this video, and after that we'll take some questions, and we'll close for today. Then.
Below the earthly planetary system are 7 subterranean realms named Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala, which do not receive sunlight and which are inhabited primarily by demoniac living entities. To reach the first one must go 80,000 miles downward through underground tunnels. At successive depths of 80,000 miles are the remaining 6 netherworlds, all of which are fully developed underground civilizations. In the 4th level downward, Talatala Loka, lives the magical architect Maya Danava, who has designed many brilliantly decorated cities where proud materialists reside. Below the netherworlds are the 28 hellish planetary systems. The demigod of justice, Yamaraj, judges the unrighteous human beings after their deaths and sends them to one of these planets. There, errant souls are administered appropriate punitive measures corresponding to their misdeeds. The earthly and subterranean planetary systems rest upon one of the hoods of the gigantic divine serpent, Shesha. Shesha in turn is held up by the colossal transcendental tortoise, Kurma. And Kurma resides in the ocean that fills half the universe.
So that was a small video. And then, so Lord Ananta, who is situated below the Bhumandala, he actually carries the entire Bhumandala on his hoods. In the 25th chapter, if you read through some of the translations, Prabhupada always uses the word universe. Ananta is holding the universe on one of his hoods. Technically, it is actually the Bhumandala. As I mentioned that initially Prabhupada, in order to connect to people, if he starts saying about Bhumandala, people may not connect. So he always writes universe. Shesha is holding the universe on his hoods like that. But actually it is the Bhumandala. So Shesha is holding the entire Bhumandala so that the Bhumandala does not sink into Garbhodaka ocean. There is a pastime mentioned in the 8th canto, last chapter. Lord Matsya appears to King Satyavrata and informs him next 7 days there is going to be a pralaya. I will send a boat and you board the boat and I will save you, something like that, connecting the Vasuki. So during that pralaya, the entire Bhumandala fell into Garbhodaka ocean. And afterwards, Lord Brahma empowers Daksha to create all the variety of living entities. Daksha begets 10,000 sons. Narada Muni delivers them. 1,000 sons, Narada Muni delivers them. Then he begets 60 daughters. They were given in marriage to many different people, like 27 to Moon, 10 to Dharma, 17 to Kashyapa. Kashyapa, with those 17 wives, he begets all the different variety of living entities. So then eventually, Kashyapa through Aditi begets 11 Adityas, except Lord Vamana. So one among the 11 Adityas was Aryama. Aryama in turn had many children. Those children have the qualities of human beings. They became known as human beings. So when the children were born, so they need to have the Bhumandala to stay. So Bhumandala was submerged into Garbhodaka ocean. That time they all pray to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu appears as Varaha. He lifts the Bhumandala, and then while lifting, Hiranyaksha comes and Lord Varaha kills him. That is all there. After lifting the Bhumandala, in order not to fall again into Garbhodaka ocean, Lord Varaha transforms himself into Kurma. That Kurma was floating into Garbhodaka ocean and keeping the Bhumandala on his top. But on the other side, Kashyapa's two wives, Kadru and Vinata, had some kind of verbal fight. As a result of which there are so many things happened. This was not liked by Kadru's first son, Shesha. Kadru had many snakes as her son, as children. But Shesha was not happy with this fight between his mother and co-mother. So Shesha went to perform austerities. So he pleased Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma appeared. Then Brahma says, what do you want? Why are you performing austerities? He says that, my dear sir, I don't want this negative ill feelings towards my co-brothers, because our father is one only. Mothers may be different, but I want to have friendly dealings with all my co-brothers. Lord Brahma says, okay. Then Shesha says that I want to serve you. Then Brahma requests him, go below the Bhumandala and hold the Bhumandala on his hoods. So then Shesha says, okay. Then he says that how long I should hold? Then Brahma says that you start singing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Till the time you come to the end of the glories of the Lord, you hold the Bhumandala. When they come to an end, you give up your seva. So that Shesha, being instructed by Brahma, came down to the Bhumandala and holding the entire Bhumandala and simultaneously singing the glories of the Supreme Lord. When those glories come to an end, the Bhumandala again submerge into Garbhodaka ocean. That will be the next pralaya. So it's like that. That Shesha, he is holding the entire Bhumandala. And that Shesha is not this Ananta. The Ananta which whom you see at the bed of Lord Vishnu is actually expansion of Balramji. He is Vishnu Tattva. But that Shesha is Jiva Tattva, empowered by Lord Vishnu. He is Shakti Avish Avatar. He is not Vishnu Tattva. So it's like that. And when it is the right time for the annihilation, Bhagavatam, that 25th chapter says that Shesha is actually witnessing all of our activities. I am holding the Bhumandala so that all of you can practice bhakti and go back to Godhead. But you people are taking chances, chance after chance, not practicing bhakti, and he becomes very angry, very angry, very angry. At the end of the day of Lord Brahma, that anger comes out of the Bhukuti of Anantashesh, that Shesha holding the Bhumandala. And that anger transforms into the 11 Rudras. And the 11 Rudras opening their third eye create huge fire. And that fire burn away the entire Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka. So in that fire, all of our gross bodies will be burnt to ashes. Then with our subtle bodies, we enter into the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu and take rest for the entire night of Brahma. In the next day, again, we will be given new set of gross bodies and perform different variety of activities. So these are the different activities of Lord Shesha, holding the Bhumandala, etc. Since Prabhupada had written that Shesha is holding the universes on one of his hood, that famous ISKCON painting, if you see, they have kept Shesha here. On the hood of Shesha, there is the entire universe. Actually, this needs to be corrected. Shesha is not outside the universe, instead it is inside the universe and holding the Bhumandala, not the entire universe. So that is a correction. So in that way. So many of our people also paint like this. So Garbhodaksha Vishnu is there in Garbhodaka ocean. He is taking rest on Shesha, and that Shesha is holding the Bhumandala. Not like that. This Shesha is Vishnu Tattva. He has nothing to do with the Bhumandala. In fact, Garbhodaksha Vishnu is inside deep within the waters. He has nothing to do with the universe. He is in his own Yoga Nidra. So he is not carrying the universe. So this Shesha is holding the entire Bhumandala. He is actually situated here. The 4 Kumaras who are staying in Janaloka, once following the path of Ganga, they came down below the Bhumandala. They requested Shesha to speak Bhagavatam. So that Shesha spoke entire Bhagavatam to the 4 Kumaras. And that Bhagavatam comes in the line of Kumara Sampradaya. That Bhagavatam which Shesha spoke to 4 Kumaras and which came down eventually at the discussion between Maitreya and Parashara. Parashara speaks the Bhagavatam to Maitreya Rishi. Actually, the 4 Kumaras were heard from Shesha. The 4 Kumaras speak to Sankhayana Muni. Sankhayana speaks to Brahaspati. And Brahaspati and Parashara. Parashara speaks to Maitreya. That conversation is known as Vishnu Purana, which is non-different from Bhagavatam in one sense. So basically that Vishnu Purana originally spoken by Lord Shesha to the 4 Kumaras and eventually came down at the discussion as Parashara and Maitreya. So in that way. So these are the 5 verses which are mentioned in the Bhagavatam, which clearly says that Lord Shesha holding the Kshiti Mandalam, Lord Shesha holding the Bhugolam or Bhumandalam, Lord Shesha holding the Kshamam, Lord Shesha holding the Bhumandala, Lord Shesha holding the Bhumandala, not the entire universe. But for all these 5 verses, Prabhupada writes, translates the Kshiti Mandalam or Bhugolam or Bhumandalam as universe only. That correction needs to be considered. So last couple of slides. So as I mentioned in the picture, so as you go below Patala Loka, that is where we have hellish planetary systems. The place where Yamaraja resides is called Pitruloka. So there, the people who perform pious activity, they go to this place. Meager pious activity, they go to this place. They will be called as Agishwattas. Bhagavatam 4th canto, 1st chapter, it talks about Daksha marrying Prasuti, the 3rd daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. Through Prasuti, Daksha begot 16 daughters. Out of 16, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma. And 1 was given in marriage to Agni. And 1, Swada, was given in marriage to the 4 Pitrus together. Just like Draupadi married 5 Pandavas, the 15th daughter of Daksha, her name is Swada. She married 4 Pitrus. Out of 4 Pitrus, 2 of them stay in the moon planet and 2 of them stay here, this Pitruloka. Agishwattas and Barishadas. They stay here, they and their descendants, they all stay in this Pitruloka. Sometimes some of the past people from our place also go to this Pitruloka. Pitruniyanti, Pitrunvata, something like that. So this is the place at the quarters of Yamaraj and his associates. And also adjacent to that, there is hellish planetary systems where punishment is awarded to all the sinful personalities. That is located 99,000 yojanas below the Bharatakanda. That is mentioned in the 330 24th verse. Yojananam Sasrani Navatim Navachadvana Tribir Muhurter Dwabhyam Va Nita Papnoti Yatana. So it's like that. This is the court of Hemaraj, and these are different hellish planetary systems where different variety of punishment is awarded to them, as we saw in the video. These are the names of the 28 hellish planetary systems. There is a graphic description about all these hellish planetary systems in the 26th chapter. By performing what kind of sinful activity, one will go to what kind of hellish planetary system and what kind of punishment they will go through. All the details are mentioned in the 26th chapter. So like that. So we have Pitruloka, we have hellish planetary systems, and below that we have a little bit 1000 yojanas of the Bhumandala. Then Shesha holding the entire Bhumandala. Then Kurma acting as the support for the Shesha so that he can hold the Bhumandala. Kurma is swimming in the Garbhodaka ocean and taking his back as support. Shesha is holding the entire Bhumandala. And then we have Garbhodaka ocean, which is about 249.8 million yojanas depth. Then there is universe's end. So here is the picture of the entire universe. So Garbhodaksha Vishnu is inside the Garbhodaka ocean. He has nothing to do with carrying the Bhumandala, etc. So this is the entire Bhumandala, 7 lower planetary systems, 20 hellish planetary system. The white one is Pitruloka, and here is Ananta holding the entire Bhumandala. Here we have Garbhodaka ocean. This is Garbhodaka ocean. This is Lokaloka mountain. So from the surface of the Bhumandala all the way up to moon is called Bhuvarloka. From the moon to Dhruvaloka, it is called Svargaloka. And we have Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. So like that. All the 14 planetary systems are shown here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji has mentioned that the lotus flower which is sprung out from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So all these 14 planetary systems are situated in the stem of the lotus. So how do we relate this thing?
See, Prabhuji, the lotus came out of the stem of Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Right.
And then Garbhodaksha Vishnu expanded himself as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, entered into that lotus in order to activate that lotus. Then on top of that lotus, there appeared Brahma. Brahma performed tapasya. Then he had darshan of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. He offered prayers that are mentioned in the 3.9. Then he was empowered by Brahma, Lord Vishnu. Then he cut the lotus into 14 divisions. After cutting the lotus into 14 divisions, he transformed it into 14 planetary systems. Now there is no lotus.
Okay.
That lotus which came from the navel of Lord Vishnu cut into 14 pieces and transformed into 14 planetary systems. Now what we can see is only 14 planetary systems.
Okay. And just one more question. Bhumandal means we are considering only Earth, but it is Earth and below 7 planetary system. It's is it correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Generally, we say the universe is 3 loka, 3 planetary systems. We say Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Svargaloka. When we say Bhuloka, Bhuloka also includes Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala, all the 7.
Okay.
Something
Thank
like
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Small clarification. So below the Bhumandala, we call it talas, no? So it cannot be called as loka. That's my understanding. Is that correct or no? That's why Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talat. It's talas, not the lokas.
No, the 7
Lokas
lower
comes
planetary systems are talas. But the Bhumandala is Bhuloka. The upper surface of the solid earth block, that is Bhumandala. So that is Bhuloka.
Okay. One more clarification. See, the inquiry of Maharaja with the sinful jivas that takes place where you mentioned the hell. There is that area
Here.
or in the moon planet?
Here. The inquiry takes place here.
Okay. There is another division also in the moon planet. There the pure souls who are Pitrus, they also live there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Such a wonderful class. You're explaining so nicely, so I'm able to understand a difficult topic. So my question was, you mentioned that the Pitrulokas are in the moon planet, and you also mentioned that they are below the seven, this lower planets at during amongst this 28 hellish. So is that like their heaven and hell? The some Pitrus go to moon loka, and then how are they transferred there then? So is it based on their karmas or?
Yeah,
obviously?
based on their level of piety. Based on their level of piety, they will be promoted there.
So could it be like material piety, not bhakti yoga?
Yeah, not bhakti yoga. See, bhakti yoga, see, simple. For everything, there is a sadhana. For us, sadhana is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Varchanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. By performing that sadhana, one will go to spiritual world. If they want to go to spiritual world and worship Lord Ram, they'll go there. If they want to worship Lord Vishnu in the form of Vamana, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, they go there. If they want to worship Lord Krishna, they go to Krishna Loka, something like that. And there are some sadhanas recommended in the Vedic literatures, like, okay, give charity to a construction of the temple in general. Give charity for constructing a water pond. Give charity for constructing a satram to take care of the pilgrims or the old people or small. Give charity to construct a vidyalay. So all these charities which are prescribed in the Vedic literatures will award promotion to such kind of Pitruloka or Sargaloka. Charity is one example. I'm saying like that. Some charities, some vratas, some austerities, something like that. For example, there is something called a Chandra and Vrata. Those who perform Chandra and Vrata, they will be given entry into Chandra Loka. That is basically Pitruloka, something like that.
Okay. Can I ask one more question?
Quickly, yes.
Yeah, sure. So there is a super soul in the heart of everyone. Shirodaksha Vishnu is a replica of. So when somebody passes away, so when they go to the Yamraj takes them. So at that time, what is the destination? What happens when you pass away from your body to the super soul goes to the? It's like it manifest and unmanifest. I learned. So he is unmanifest when you go back. In case to spiritual world, you don't need, because there is Bhagwan. But if this person is taking this journey with Yamraj, at that time, is the super soul with the soul who has passed away and is or is unmanifest?
See here this picture.
Yeah.
Here we have Karnadaksha Vishnu. From his skin pores comes Prakriti. From Prakriti comes 24 elements. From those combination of 24 elements forms unlimited Brahmandas. And he expands himself and enters into each and every universe of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And from his navel came a lotus.
Yeah.
And he himself expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, enters into this lotus. And he resides in the Dhruva Loka. And that Kshirodaksha Vishnu enters into the heart of all of us.
Yeah.
He is known as Paramatma.
Yeah.
As long as we are living within this universe, wherever we may go, that Paramatma will be with us always.
Okay.
So that Paramatma, who is the expansion of Kshirodaksha Vishnu, who is the expansion of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who is the expansion of Karnadaksha Vishnu, he will be with us till the time we are in the universe. When we come out of the universe, when we are going back to spiritual world, that Paramatma within our heart will enter into Karnadaksha Vishnu and we will go ahead.
Okay. Okay, understood. Yeah, that's very good, clear understanding. So when you are making transition from one body to another, if you haven't gone back to Godhead, then the Shirodaksha Vishnu is with you, Paramatma is with you.
Yeah, with us.
All the time. Okay.
All the time.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, one question with respect to, you mentioned about Pitraloka in the lower side, where Yamaraj is residing. So the question is, when human beings die, the general understanding is that there is a assessment. They all go to Yamalok and are assessed there. So also we say in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta madhya tishthanti rajasa jaganya gunavrutthisto adho gachanti tamasa. So there seem to be obviously different destinations. Some will become, various, some may go higher, lower. Are all these transition paths going via this assessment by Yamaraj in Yamaloka, or are there different paths?
sometimes it is directly, but mostly it is via Yamaraj. For example, actually generally it is via Yamaraj only. There are 4 paths to Yamaraj. There are 4 entries to Yamaloka. 3 entries are meant for those people who perform more and more pious activities, less and less sinful activities. And 1 path is meant for those people who perform more and more sinful activities and less pious activities. Something like that. So everyone having gone to Yamaraj, Yamaraj will ask, will say, he will analyze. Okay, in your entire life, you have performed 99 sinful activities, 1 pious activity. As a result of your 1 pious activity, you are supposed to spend 1000 years in heaven. And as a result of your 99 sinful activities, you are supposed to be punished in hell for 10,000 years. Which one you want first? According to the choice of the person, the result will be awarded.
So that means for, sorry, Prabhu, please continue.
So generally, people generally ask for the result of the small one. Generally, normal understanding that people perform more sinful activities, less pious activities. So for the less pious activities, the less happiness is there. Generally they ask for, okay, first I want to go to heaven. I want to enjoy that first and then I'll go through punishment. No one wants punishment immediately. This is the condition. There is a case study about this in the 10th canto. King Nriga, he had performed uncountable pious activities, but only 1 mistake. So when he went to Yamaraj, Yamaraj asked, my dear sir, you have performed unlimited pious activities. You can live in heaven for unlimited number of years, but there is 1 mistake you have done. So for which you need to go through some punishment. So which one you want first? So King Nriga said that I want to go through the punishment. So he was taken birth as a lizard and he continued to stay in the nearby province of Dwaraka. Then eventually by the touch of Lord Krishna, he was delivered and he went back to Godhead. On the other side, there is another case study. The Kauravas, throughout their entire life, they performed unlimited sinful activities. But they have done 2 good activities. One is, they performed 1 Vaishnava Yajna. Second one is, they were killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra by the Pandavas, by the hands of the Pandavas, especially by the hand of Bhima only. All the Kauravas killed. Because they died in the battlefield by the hands of Bhima, and they also performed Vaishnava Yajna, they were given entry into Swarga for 3000 odd years. And unlimited suffering is waiting for them. When they were asked by Yamaraj, they said, we want to go to Swarga first. So they went to Swarga first. That's why when Pandavas went there to heaven after 35 years, they saw the Kauravas enjoying in the heaven. But after 3000 years, they supposed to vacate the heaven and they supposed to go through hellish punishment. So it's like that.
So Prabhu, that means for sadhakas like ordinary sadhakas like me, who will may very likely take another birth, even as devotees, because we say that devotees generally don't see Yamaraj. That is the general understanding. But is that, how do we understand that? Because based on this, it seems all conditioned souls, even sadhaka bhaktas, would also go through the same path, isn't it? We would also see Yamaraj.
From our side, we should never say that I am a great devotee, so I will not see Yamaraj. But we always say that I have done so many sinful activities, I will also go to Yamaloka, I will also go through punishment, like that we should say.
Correct.
But from Lord's point of view, knowingly or unknowingly, if somebody takes to the path of bhakti, they will never ever see Yamaraj. But what will happen to them? One example we can see from Bhagavad Gita. What will happen to the yoga brashtas? Arjuna asks, if some sadhaka who are taken to this process of Nishkama Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, and then come to Ashtanga Yoga, but still not perfected, what will happen to them? Then Krishna says that first they will go to heaven, they will enjoy for some time, some long time. Then again they will take birth in the family of Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. Those who have performed meager sadhana, they take birth either in the family of Vaishyas or Brahmanas. Why? In the family of Vaishya, they don't have to work hard for earning money. They already have sufficient amount of money so that they can devote their time in performing their sadhana, continuing their sadhana. In the Brahmanas family, though they may not have a lot of money, but from the very beginning, there is a good training. So what to do, what not to do. In either case, they are well situated.
Correct.
But for others who have done more sadhana, who are almost on the verge of attaining perfection, they take birth in the family of yogis. So from the very beginning, they are engaged in sadhana. But for devotees who have not completed their sadhana, they take birth in the family of devotees. As soon as from the time of their entry into the womb, their bhakti begins and their bhakti continues.
Correct. But the point is, Prabhu, between these two lifetimes for a sadhaka, irrespective of the two options that you said, they would still have to go through the typical path of going up to Yamaraj, getting judged, and then taking the next body, isn't it?
See, Prabhuji, from the point of view of bhakti, one will not go through. So bhakti is so powerful that bhakti will award human birth immediately. One no need to go through other lower species. If at all one goes to lower species, they still take birth in the family of some devotees. Even if somebody has to become a lower species, also they take birth in the family of a devotee, they continue to eat prasad only, something like that. So that benefit of doubt we should give to the path of bhakti. We should not say that. But when it comes to us, we should never ever say that I am a devotee, so I will be getting birth in the family of devotee. Not like that. We should not boast ourselves. So it is like that. This distinction we should see. For normal living entities, they go through normal cycle of transmigration. But for devotees, by the potency of bhakti, by the potency of Guru and Gauranga, one will immediately take another human birth in the family of a devotee and continue bhakti from there on.
So when you say immediate, Prabhu, what you are saying is they will not go to the Yamalok to be judged and then be sent to another birth.
That's what the Ajamil pastime says. They will never see Yamaraj. Then why would, if they don't see Yamaraj, why would they go to Yamaloka?
Okay.
If at all a devotee does not want to go to Pitruloka or Sargaloka here and there, they immediately take birth in the family of other devotees.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they have desires, okay, let me also go to Swarga and have some time there. Then they'll go to Swarga and then come back after some time.
Okay. Okay. So net it means that devotees don't have to see Yamaraj, especially those who are serious sadhakas. Not see Yamaraj. That's the point. Okay. But
it is not that devotee means not from our point of view, devotees from the Lord's point of view.
Of course.
Whom Lord says, okay, is a devotee.
Understood, true.
So we may have Kantimala, Tilak and close devotee attire. We may boast ourselves devotees, but we don't know.
Understood.
Are we really devotees? Are we really imitators?
True.
Something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Quickly, any questions? Are you getting late? I am free, but if you are not free.
Yeah, but I have one small question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji, quickly.
So thank you so much first for helping us understand this, really difficult subject. So really appreciate, Prabhuji, your support. I'm kind of trying to understand the concept of Vasudeva in context of this creation. So how we understand now Vasudeva, which is basically this 5, Jiva, Dravya, Kala, Swabhava, and Karma. How these things goes together? I'm not sure if I'm clear with my question, but
you people are studying second canto also simultaneously?
No. I mean, this is one of the topics that I love the most, Prabhu. That's why I'm having questions.
Okay.
So I have some.
This text comes from second canto, and previously one Mataji also mentioned about one.
Yadrupam. Yeah. So it's coming basically. The question number 1. What's Yadrupam? What's the characteristic?
See, thing is like this. Lord Krishna and Balramji eternally stays in Goloka Vrindavan. Their immediate expansions are the first quadruple. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Ruddha, who stays in Madura and Dwaraka. And Sankarshana expands himself into Mahanarayana, who is the leader of Vaikuntha, who further expands into unlimited Vishnu forms in Vaikuntha. And that Mahanarayana also expands into second quadruple expansion. Again, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Ruddha, who stay in 4 directions of the entire Vaikuntha. So in the east, west, north, or something like that, they are guarding the entire Vaikuntha abode by being situated in the 4 directions of the entire Vaikuntha. So if this is the entire Vaikuntha, that Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Ruddha will stay one here, one there, and one the other upper side of the Vaikuntha. And this second quadruple expansion, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Ruddha, expand themselves as Karmadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kidakshaya Vishnu. for the purpose of creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material universes. So now, Sankarshana expands into Mahavishnu. So, from the point of view of the Supreme Lord, anyway, you may expand into 4 or he is 1, he is same only. Sometimes the names are interchangeably used. So, whether you can call him as Vasudeva or Sankarshana, both are same only. That Supreme Lord, for the purpose of creation, he creates 5 tattvas. By the combination of these 5 tattvas, the material universe is manifested. The 5 tattvas are Dravya, Karma, Kala, Jiva, and what else? Dravya karma cha kalascha sabhavo jiva evacha. Dravya, Kala. Dravya is Prakriti or Gunamaya or Pradhana. Kala is Kala, which expands into Shambhu Tattva or Sadashiva. Karma and Swabhava are Jiva's properties. Jiva is Jiva. So these are the 5 things. By combination of these 5 things, the entire material universe is created. Which Lord Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 7. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara miti anme binna prakriti asuddha. This binna prakriti is Dravya. And then he talks about aparaya mitasvanam binna. What is that? Aparaya mitasvanam prakritim vidyame param jivabhutam mahabaho yedam dharate jagat. The next one is Parashakti, that is Jiva. Every Jiva has their own karma balance, karma factor, and their own independent unique nature, that is called Swabhava. So Jiva comes along with Swabhava and karma and Swabhava. So on one side there is Dravya, on other side there is Jiva along with karma and Swabhava. So how to instigate, how to facilitate Jiva's activities within Pradhana? That instigation, the facilitation happens through Kala. Kala is Lord Vishnu's own potency, activating, agitating factor. So that transforms into Sadashiva. So like that, these 5 tattvas are connected to Lord Vasudeva. They are basically Lord's manifested energies. We say na Antaranga Shakti, Bairanga Shakti, Tadas Shakti. Jiva is Tadas Shakti and Pradhana is Bairanga Shakti. So something like that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. A
Krishna.
quick follow-up question to the verse that you referred in Bhagavad Gita, the 7.4 Bhumi Rapurna Vayu. So one question I've had is regarding the purport of that verse, and if it's going to specific, we can take it another time. But in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that in this, intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahatattva. And this was something that I've been wondering about, that how does the Mahatattva become the... So my understanding was that it's mind, intelligence, and false ego that is being referred over here, in addition to the Panch Mahabhuta. How does this intelligence, why is this intelligence being called as the Mahatattva?
Prabhuji, can I have 1 minute? I have to just make a call. I will come back quickly. Somebody
Yes,
is
Prabhu.
calling me. They're waiting.
Sure.
Just
Prabhu.
1 minute. If we have time, we'll continue discussion.
Okay.
So in the second canto, the same 5th chapter from which we are discussing this verse, if you see the creation chart, from Mahavishnu's kinpur, there comes Pradhana. By glancing upon Pradhana, Pradhana gives rise to Mahatattva. From Mahatattva comes Ahankara. From Ahankara comes mind, intelligence, senses, the Panchamahabhutas and Tanmatras, etc. etc. So in Bhagavad Gita, when this verse is saying, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara mityamme binna prakriti siddha, the direct translation is earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence and ego are the products of my separated energy, something like that. But the previous acharyas, such as Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, Srila Vishnu Tagore, does not translate like this. So when Krishna says ahankara, from the creation chart point of view, from ahankara, from sattvic ahankara, we get mind. From rajasic ahankara, we get intelligence and 10 senses. From tamasic ahankara, we get the 5 panchamahabhuta and tanmatras. So ahankara, when Krishna says ahankara, ahankara also includes the mind, intelligence and the 10 senses. Since the panchamahabhuta mentioned separately, so mind, intelligence and 10 senses are also included in ahankara. And the source of ahankara is Mahatattva. So here the word buddhi is indicates Mahatattva. And the source of Mahatattva is Pradhana. And Pradhana is indicated by the word Mana. So in the previous Acharya's translations, the Man is translated as Pradhana and Buddhi is translated as Mahatattva, which appears from Pradhana. And Ahankara is Ahankara, which appears from Mahatattva. And from Ahankara, the other components come. Intelligence, mind and senses. So they are not mentioned. But Panchamahabhutas are separately mentioned because we have direct appreciation with the Panchamahabhutas than other higher things. So that is the understanding given there. So which Prabhupada explains in the purport?
Yes, Prabhu. So in that context, is it accurate to assume that this is actually being used to describe not the Jiva, but the Virat Purush?
No, whether it is Virat Purusha or Jiva or the any living entity or the entire universe also made up of same 24 elements only. But the scriptures which we read, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they are specifically meant for all of us, specifically human beings. All the details are mentioned in connection to human beings. Human beings are the target audience for our Vedic literature.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Can I ask one question?
Quickly, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So it's mentioned that once we go out of this universe layer, go to the spiritual world, the fall down will not happen, will not come back. But in many places, Prabhupada ji has mentioned that even Jnani, Yogi, they go to Brahma Jyoti, but the fall down happens. They again come back to the universe. Prabhupada ji has given the example of Chatuskumar and Brahmaji and all. So how should we take it? Even Brahma Jyoti, somebody achieved, can he fall down again to the universe? How to understand it?
There is one verse comes in the 2nd chapter of the 10th canto, where Devaki was in the house arrest by Kamsa, and she was pregnant now 8th time. Lord Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. That time all the devatas come and offer prayers. So one of the prayers which devatas offered is the main, this principle what you talked about. Aruya Krishrena Param Padam Tata Patanti Yado Anadrita Ishmadangraya. Even though the so-called Jnanis and Yogis, they may think that they have attained the highest perfection of Samadhi Aruya Krichrena Param Padam Tata. Having attained Samadhi, they may think that they have attained liberation also. Patanti Ado, but they will fall down from there. Assumed perfected state. Because they have not served the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. Anadrita Yushmad Angraya. My dear Lord, because they have not served your lotus feet. Not only serving, forget about serving. Anadrita. They have not given any regard to your lotus feet. Because the understanding of this Mayavada philosophy is the Lord's form is also Maya. Lord does not have any form. Their understanding is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. The entire universe and everything that we see in the entire universe is also Mithya. All the way up to the different avatars that appear in the material world, they are also Mithya. The only eternal reality is Brahman. There is nothing beyond Brahman and there is nothing below Brahman. Only Brahman is reality. So when even they actually disregard the avatars also. They say avatars are also one among us, something like that. Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadhi, because they disregard the Lord's form, since they are performing aparadh at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, they never ever attain perfection. They may assume that they have attained perfection, but they fall down. All our acharyas and even Srila Prabhupada and even current Guru Varga also, they always criticize the Mayavadis. But there is another set of Jnanis and Yogis who are called as Brahmavadis. So they attain perfection. They practice their sadhana in order to attain Sayujya Mukti. They enter into Brahman, that is called Sayujya Mukti, and they don't fall down. If they want to remain in Sayujya Mukti, they will remain in that place for long. But if they want to come down, they will come down. But that is not called fall down. That is voluntary return. But for the so-called hardcore jnanis who never ever perform bhakti as part of their sadhana, who disregard the form of the Supreme Lord, they will never attain mukti. Simply, they may assume they attain mukti, but they simply fall down from there. So that is understanding.
Okay, Prabhu. So the spiritual world in the region of Brahmajyoti is not a secure place. You can come down. So
no, Prabhuji, they don't go to Brahman only. Why will they come down?
No, I mean to say the Jnani and Yogi who are achieving Brahmajyoti stage, Brahmajyoti is in the spiritual world, definitely.
Yes.
But still they come down to the universe.
That is not fall down. That is voluntary return. If they want to come back, they'll come back. But they are not forced to fall down.
Okay.
Just like we hear 5 muktis, Sayujya Mukti, Sarishti Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Samipya and Sarupya. Does anyone come down having attained Sarupya Mukti or Salokya Mukti?
No, that is Sarupya and Salokya is we are achieving that.
No, yes or no? No.
No, Prabhuji. Yadgatvana nivartante tattama paramam.
Same thing applicable to Sayujya Mukti also. If they have practiced the sadhana bona fide way, if they have attained, if they have desired to attain Sayujya Mukti, they will attain Sayujya Mukti and don't come back. That is for the Brahmavadis, the proper Jnanis and Yogis who practice Jnana and Yoga along with little Bhakti. They attain perfection and they will not come back. That's what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18.
I just trying to understand the Jnanis and Yogis. They also achieve Brahmajyoti stage.
Yes.
So after they achieve Brahmajyoti, will they fall down or not? So that's clarity.
Those who go to Brahmajyoti, they will not fall down. Unless until they come back, they want to come back, they will not come back. So
that position is really esteemed position. We are telling us as Jnanis and Yogis, they are also quite significant achievement and they stay there.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 54 and 55. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. As a child, wait. Let me complete 2 sentences. As a child, one gets training from mother and father. Then the child is sent to Gurukul. In the Gurukul, Guru teaches. Then the child comes home. having learned everything from the Guru, gets married, practices Nishkama Karma Yoga as a householder, then takes on to renunciation, then practices Jnana Yoga, comes to the platform of Jivan Mukta. Then if at all he want to give up the body immediately, then take shelter of Ashtanga Yoga, raising the pranas, comes to Samadhi. Then he attains Samadhi platform. The state of a Jnani or Yogi who comes to Jivan Mukta platform or Samadhi platform is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Na Sochati Na Kankshati, Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu. This will be the consciousness or the state of a person who, by practicing Jnana along with little Bhakti, by practicing Ashtanga Yoga along with little Bhakti throughout their life. After coming here, throughout their life from the very beginning, they are also practicing little Bhakti along with Karma as a Grihastha, along with Jnana or Yoga as a Vanaprastha or Sannyasi. Now, having come to the platform of Brahmabhuta platform or Jivan Mukta platform or Samadhi, they have to give up that Jnana, they have to give up that Yoga. What remains is only Bhakti. Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Now they continue with Bhakti. They continue to practice that Bhakti in that state. Basically, Smaranam they do at that time. Having come to Samadhi or having come to Jivan Mukta platform, they continue to Smaranam only, having given up Jnana or Yoga. So then Krishna says in the next verse, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschatmi tatataha. By practicing Bhakti alone at that state, they will know me in tatataha. What kind of understanding or realization they will have? Tato mam tatoto. They will either know me as Brahman, Tat, or they will know me as Bhagavan, Mam. Having known me as Brahman or Bhagavan, according to their inclination, if they want to enter into Brahman, they enter into Brahman. If they want to enter into Vaikuntha, they enter into Vaikuntha. These Brahmavadis who practiced Bhakti Mishra Karma as a Grihastha, who practiced Bhakti Mishra Yoga and Bhakti Mishra Jnana as a Vanaprastha or Sannyasi, having come to the platform of Jivan Mukta or Samadhi, by continue to practice Bhakti alone, without any Jnana, without any Yoga, understanding and realizing what Brahman is all about, they enter into Brahman. If they want to enter into Vaikuntha, they get Salokya or Sarishti Mukti in Vaikuntha. So that is the understanding, that is the perfection of Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana and Bhakti Mishra Yoga. They will never return. They attain Sayajya Mukti, they will remain there. But others, Mayavadis, who deny the form of the Supreme Lord, they only boast Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Brahma Satyam, Nirmita. They will never ever attain Samadhi only. Then what to speak of attaining liberation?
Prabhuji, just I was referring to that Kapil Devotee Samvad. There it is mentioned clearly, Bhakti is even 0.1% contaminated with karma or jnana, then you cannot even achieve the spiritual world. If you cannot go to the spiritual world, even if it's Bhakti is contaminated by 0.1% of karma and jnana. That's what, and Prabhupada mentioned that even if some yogic and karmi, they achieve Brahmajyoti, they again fall down to the material universe like that. So I'm just trying to understand and clear the confusion.
Yeah, see, that is there. Generally, they don't attain only. If at all they think that they've attained, they'll come back. That is there.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, trying to understand, it is not just karma, just jnana, just yoga. If they practice karma, jnana, yoga along with bhakti, at one point of time, slowly, a sannyasi no need to practice any karma. By taking vanaprasada, they give up karma. And by practicing jnana or yoga, in the sannyas order or vanaprasada order, they complete that. One day they give up that. Finally, they need to practice only bhakti. Ananya bhakti only they need to practice. Only by the practicing of Ananya Bhakti alone, one will attain perfection, whether it may be Sayujya Mukti or Salokya Mukti or Sarishti Mukti or Sarupya Mukti, for which one has to come to that point. Without that, one will not attain liberation. That is true.
Okay, Broji, thanks very much for the clarity. Thanks for your time.
Hare Krishna. In one sense, all of us are practicing Bhakti, but we are also practicing Karma, we are also practicing Jnana. All of you are householders. All of you are having a job.
Correct. Yes, bro.
Yes, bro.
That is karma. I am a brahmachari. I have so many services according to my brahmachari ashram. That is karma. That is my karma. In fact, we are practicing karma mishra bhakti.
Prabhu, a quick point because it is related to this discussion. In terms of the Buddhist perfection, I have heard that they can go maximum up to Viraja. Can you comment on this?
No. Forget about that. All our acharyas only tell. What is the philosophy of Buddhism? Nirvana, na?
Correct. What is the nirvana?
Coming from nirvana and everything coming from void. And
void.
One will go to void. So they'll go to void only.
And what is that void?
They only knows. They only talking about void, na? We are not talking about void. We are talking about Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan. We are talking about either Brahman or Vaikuntha. So we don't have any concept of void. For us, void means ether. So, I mean, I don't know complete philosophy of Buddhism, so I cannot comment on
because
that.
I have heard from Buddhists, I mean, over so many years that I do not know what is the source of this statement, that their void is equivalent to basically negation of all matter, which almost takes one to the Pradhan Viraja state where one doesn't enter the spiritual world but remains at the border without transcending, but doesn't go through
that. I don't know,
Prabhuji.
I only one thing I read from Nectar of Devotion is Bhakti Sindhu. Srila Rupa Goswami says that though Lord Vishnu himself appears as Buddha, but devotees never worship Buddha, and devotees never follow Buddha's philosophy. Do we see any deity any Buddha's deity being worshipped all over India? By Vaishnavas?
No.
We don't see. So that philosophy is not accepted by Vaishnavas. They glorify Lord Buddha, but they don't worship. The Buddha's deity is nowhere worshipped, and Buddha's philosophy nowhere followed by Vaishnavas.
Okay, thank you.
So in that way. Okay. Chart box 2. So many things are there. 10 to. Okay, and Aravindaksha Mukta Manas. Fine. Okay. One more Prabhuji was holding the hand. Jai Jagannath Prabhu.
I was trying to explain my experience with the Buddhists. So many colleagues, they were Buddhist of mine for so many years. So they don't have this concept of Raja and all. They have, your Chetana polluted because of karma. So your Chetana should be clean stuff. So your mind should be clean stuff. That's all.
Yeah.
The
mind should become desireless.
That voiding, making empty of mind is called their attaining nirvana. That's all their understanding is.
But our philosophy is against to that. We want to make our mind full of spiritual desires.
Exactly. And there is no concept of Dana and Raja and all. They don't have access about that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to add. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry, I just answered as per my little understanding. Don't take them as absolute truth. You please consult with your respective counselors and other devotees for better understanding. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity. So we'll continue next week. So actually the subject is almost completed. We have a couple of slides more, kind of concluding slides. There is another section that is the practical application of the subject matter, that is trying to understand how day and night is happening, how the planets are moving around, how because of the movement of the planets, how the months and seasons are changing, how eclipse is happening. That is there. If you are interested, we can take the topic.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, if you can get your email address or some contact, maybe sometimes we can ask separately.
Okay, no issues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare